I want to explain something that happened to me when I was a little girl. Before we get into the video, I want to explain that not only am I an advocate against abuse, but I am hugely against people who know that abuse is happening and choose to look the other way. To give you a better understanding of what I'm talking about, allow me to explain. My parents were divorced and my mom was having a hard time raising us alone. My parents were both quite young when they married and didn't have a clue about being married and parents. My dad hit the road shortly after I was born. That wasn't a big deal to me as I wasn't hugely close to my dad. I never was. Although my mom was quite lax and not really involved in the way that she raised us, my brother and I was fairly happy. We had each other. We played with our friends. It was okay. However, as I mentioned, my mom didn't take care of us like we were supposed to be taken care of. There are times when she didn't do our hair and our hygiene and clothes were not always the best. Once my brother's teacher, in an act of compassion, picked out his hair because it was so matted together. While his teacher meant extremely well, he was hugely embarrassed. As for me, I developed hair lice. While we were both too young to know what any of this meant, this did not escape our father as we visited with him from time to time on the weekends. I happened to be with him when he discovered that I had hair lice. I was also with him when he discovered a huge rash in my private areas. I told his new wife about my issues and she had me show my father. I was so embarrassed. Needless to say, he was displeased. I don't know how it went down, but he and my mother agreed that me and my brother would go and live with him for a while. This news hit me hard as I loved my father, but I wasn't close to him. I didn't want to go live with him, but we had no choice. I even prayed to God that he would change that decision, but it was to no avail. My brother and I was finally living with my father, and it was like we had descended into hell for two small, frightened children. True, my mother was young and immature, but my father was a nightmare. He yelled at us constantly. He beat us for the smallest infraction. He would call us names about how stupid we were. He made us stay in our room because he didn't really want to see us or have to deal with us. It was a nightmare beyond epic proportions. However, the thing is that our mother knew some of what was going on, but she didn't let herself get involved. My brother and I was utterly alone. One day, the abuse reached a major point. While I was walking with a friend on my way home from school, she began to pick on a smaller child. While she picked on her, I didn't get involved in any way to stop it. Once I reached my block, I went home. About 20 minutes later, the girl and her mother showed up to our door wanting to hear more about what happened to our daughter. I and the other girl explained that I wasn't involved, it was my friend. The mother asked me if I knew where she lived, and since I did, she wanted me to show her the house so she could talk to the girl and her parents. This wasn't hugely uncomfortable for me since I wasn't involved, so my dad's new wife let me go over there and show her the house. However, it became a huge problem once I made it home. My dad was there and his wife was explaining to him what happened when I walked in the door. He asked me what happened, and I began to explain it to him as I was taking off my coat and proceeding to hang it up. The next thing I knew, I saw a huge light and felt a pain to the back of my head. I had been knocked to the floor. "Don't walk away from me when I'm talking to you," he yelled. The thing is, I wasn't walking away while he was talking to me. He wasn't even talking. I was getting ready to hang up my coat while I was talking to him. He made me go into my room, and he later came in there and proceeded to beat me with a belt for no reason. He came back into the room later and began to mock me while I was crying. "You mad?" he asked. "You didn't even do anything, did you?" he said in his mocking tone. That told me that he knew that I was innocent, but he beat me anyway. As I got older, I drew a distance between me and my father. He called himself trying to help my mother because she had a problem. But the truth is that my father was a mean, angry, and an abusive man. He woke up one day to realize that he was a husband and a father, two roles that he wasn't prepared for. When we went to live with him, he took his anger out on us constantly. The thing is that he seemed to love and relish was being cruel. When I went back to live with my father, I was happy for the limited time that I saw him after that. As I mentioned before, my mom knew about some of the things that was happening to my brother, but she didn't rescue us in any way. She was too busy having a happy, childless time. I had to learn to forgive her for that. Dear ones out there, if you know that abuse is happening from parents to their children, spouses, don't look the other way. Abuse hides behind excuses and inactivity. Intervention can help prevent abuse. Parents, it's your job to keep your children safe. Thanks for listening and subscribe to our channel so you can get notified when we have a new video. Want to stay out of the doghouse? Check out the links below in the description box for some cool gifts that you can give to your spouses and friends. Take care and have a great day.